Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another RebelScum.com video, and today we are talking about the toys of the hit TV series Star Wars Rebels. I am a big fan of Star Wars Rebels. I'm a big fan of Star Wars in general, of course. You put Star Wars on TV, I'm going to watch it. But Star Wars Rebels was a really, really good show. It was a nice little in-between series that we got to see, where we got to peek into, in some cases, some of the formation of the Rebel Alliance as we know it by the time of the original trilogy, and what some of those different factions and groups of the Rebel Alliance were doing in between. Specifically, of course, the Ghost Crew, and then Season 2 throughout the rest of the series, Phoenix Squadron, which I thought was really, really awesome. I loved how they followed them. Of course, we saw return characters like Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars series. We saw Captain Rex come back, plus a few other Clone Wars characters here and there as well that made their way into the Rebel series. But today we are talking about the toys. So you'll notice in the video today I don't have any 3 3/4 scale toys in front of me, and that's because I just don't have any on hand at the moment, because these days they're actually getting pretty rare. Pretty rare to get a lot of the original 3 3/4 scale Rebels figures. So the Rebels figure line came out around when the Rebels show was premiering, and that was back in, I want to say, 2013, maybe 2014, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. And that's when Hasbro was going back into 5 points of articulation pretty hard. So the entire Rebels toy line on Rebels card was 5 points of articulation. Now, aside from having animated styled figures from the Rebels cartoon series, we of course also had other fill-in characters and 5 points of articulation from across the Star Wars saga. So there were a few clone era characters in there, there were a few original trilogy era characters in there, and they were also 5 points of articulation. Now, specifically for the Toys of the Rebels, we had various releases of course, the main cast in 3 3/4 scale, and some of them were released in figure packs, some of them were released on single card, and some were released both in figure packs and on cards. So, of course, we had the first release of Sabine, didn't have a removable helmet. She was 5 points of articulation. She came with an animated style Stormtrooper. We had Hera Syndulla first released with an animated style Stormtrooper. We had a Stormtrooper released by itself on card. We had a Stormtrooper released with a animated style TIE pilot on card. We had a TIE pilot released by itself on card. We had the ATDP pilot released by itself. And then, of course, if there's an ATDP pilot, there's probably an ATDP. Yes, there were some more budgety, we'll say more budgety vehicles released by Hasbro during the Rebels toy line. Of course, we got the ATDP, which could fit like a figure inside. It could fit a figure, 2 if you really tried, but really could only fit 1. And that's the only release of the Imperial ATDP to this date. We had the release of the Phantom 1 shuttle, which was the attack shuttle that docked to the back of the Ghost in the series for the first couple seasons of the series, which led a lot of fans to believe, especially with the hollow bits underneath, that maybe there was going to be some kind of larger Ghost vehicle that it could dock to eventually, much like how we had the Legacy Millennium Falcon. Of course, that never came to date, and a lot of fans have their fingers crossed that maybe one of these days we'll see perhaps a HasLab version of the Ghost, and we can just spend a bunch of money to back one and have a full, awesome, detailed 3 3/4 scale Ghost, or as close as Hasbro can get, of course, because the Ghost is a very, very large vehicle. Much larger than the Falcon, in fact. Amongst that, there was also the awesome Inquisitor's TIE Fighter, which is honestly, in quality and detail, probably the best vehicle they did, mostly because it was the simplest vehicle they did in that line. It did have articulated wings. You, of course, could put the Grand Inquisitor inside the cockpit if you had the Grand Inquisitor, which was also released on both the Rebels card and then a couple years later on the Force Awakens card in that carded 5 points of articulation toy line. And then over the years into the Force Awakens toy line and even the Rogue One 5 points of articulation carded toy line, we saw some more Rebels characters bleed into releases there as well. So we saw re-releases of Kanan and Ezra. We saw re-releases of the Grand Inquisitor. We saw a release of the Fifth Brother, which was a very rare release. We saw a release of the Second Sister Inquisitor, along with a old man Darth Maul from his appearance in Rebels in a 2-pack. We saw the release of a Rebel-styled Darth Vader, as well as the only release of a 3/3/4 scale Rebel-style Ahsoka Tano. We saw the release of a Rebels Princess Leia in the Rogue One card. We saw Stormtrooper Disguise Kanan Jarrus on the Rogue One card, and the only release of a 3/3/4 scale Grand Admiral Thrawn from his appearance in Rebels on Rogue One card. So they got around a little bit. Now, unfortunately, there still isn't really any fully articulated Rebels characters. Of course, amongst the 5 POA or equivalent to 5 POA releases of Chopper in 3/3/4 scale, whether it was on Rebels card, which is the most valuable release of Chopper on a card these days, and the 2-pack release of Chopper in the Force Awakens card with Garrett Zeb Aurelios, there was a almost, what you could consider vintage collection quality equivalent to a Chopper release at Disney Parks on the Droid Factory card. And as far as the original characters of the hit series Star Wars Rebels is concerned, that's it. That is the only character original to that series that has gotten a fully articulated figure in 3/3/4 scale, unfortunately. A lot of fans are patiently waiting, I hope, for some VC releases, but so far Hasbro has been all but quiet about any fully articulated releases on Vintage Collection card. Perhaps, if we wanted to be speculative, maybe if Hasbro has plans for doing a HasLab release, maybe they would be waiting for the release of a HasLab Ghost or other type vehicle, maybe even the Phantom 2, that'd be something, to release some of those Rebels characters in the VC, and of course there would be either baggied or carded exclusive versions released with that most likely, which would also most likely lead to carded variants in the future in the regular Vintage Collection line. But of course, that's just me being speculative. Take that with a grain of salt. Like I said, Hasbro hasn't said anything to my knowledge about doing anything in Star Wars Rebels in 3/3/4 scale in the near future. Hopefully, but I know they've got their plate full with all the other upcoming series. They're still catching up on some Mandalorian characters. They still have a lot of the Bad Batch characters to release. There's the Book of Boba Fett series that they're releasing characters for. And then, of course, they're going to have their hands full with the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series that they're going to be expected to release characters for as well. So, unfortunately, for those of us who are Star Wars Rebels fans and our Vintage Collection, we're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer. But hopefully, maybe they'll just start sneaking in a character or two here and there in every other wave. That would be nice, I think. Let us know in the comments, let us know in the forums what you think about Star Wars Rebels and which characters you would like to see fully articulated in the future. But enough about 3/3/4 scale. Of course, Black Series actually got a decent amount of love, and pretty early on into the Black Series toy line. Within the first few waves of Phase 3 in the Star Wars Black Series line, we actually got our first Star Wars Rebels original character, and it was Kanan Jarrus. And when they relaunched Black Series with Phase 4, they did a updated face print on Kanan Jarrus. It's the same mold, has the same accessories and same playability as the Phase 3 release. The lightsaber even splits apart just like in the series. That was the first one to release, and the second one actually wasn't one of the, of course, original characters from Star Wars Rebels, but the Rebels version of Ahsoka Tano, number 20 in the Phase 3. Few waves later, we got our next figure, which was Hera Syndulla. A wave or two after that, we finally got Grand Admiral Thrawn, which that was his first addition to the Black Series 6-inch line, and it was such a popular release. He's such a popular character in Star Wars. Of course, he's not a Rebels original character, but Grand Admiral Thrawn did get an SDCC release with little knickknacks and things that he had on display in the Rebels cartoon, including his awesome mantelpiece with what looks like the Salamiri from the original Heir to the Empire trilogy novels. What's also really nice, and much, much later, we ended up getting Ezra and Chopper in the same wave. Now, Phase 3, Ezra gained a lot of value very, very quickly, and Chopper gained a little bit of value, but not quite as much as Ezra. Chopper was really, really cool. He had, that awesome thrust effect. He had his little thruster on the bottom that you could swap out his little middle wheel leg for. He had the swappable tread that he stole in that one episode. And it was just really neat how Hasbro actually went all in on Chopper and gave him some really cool accessories. Plus, as you can see, he's got the articulated arms that come out of the side of his head. Now, all of these characters did get re-releases in Phase 4 with the exception of Grand Admiral Thrawn, because he was re-released on Archive. And then with Phase 4, with the launch of Phase 4, we finally got our first Black Series Garazeb Aurelios, the final Ghost crew member that we had been missing for so long. And I just realized I forgot to mention that before we got Hera, we actually got Sabine. Sabine was the second member of the Ghost crew that we got. Fully articulated, removable helmet. She comes with her little spray painter. Very, very cool figure. And, of course, she also got re-released in Phase 4 as well, with an updated face printing deco. But Zeb was probably my favorite figure of the Ghost crew, probably because he was the most anticipated by the time he was finally released. And I was really excited for him, and Hasbro did a very good job. Fully articulated, really, really good size. His electro staff actually articulates and converts from blaster to staff. The electric effects are removable. They did a very good job on Zeb. But so far, that's pretty much it for the Rebels original characters at the moment in the Star Wars toy line in both 6-inch and 3/3 scale. So what do you think, guys? What's something you really want to see next in the Rebels toy line? Who do you want to get the next figure? Is there a specific 3/3 scale character you were looking forward to next in particular? Or what 6-inch character would you be looking forward to next? Me personally, I want to see Old Man Rex. A lot of people love Rex. He's a big fan favorite character. I want Rebels Rex in the Black Series line sometime soon. I mean, we finally got a second Rex in Black Series in the Bad Batch packaging, and it was a cool figure. It had some issues, of course, and we talked about that. If you want to see the review where we covered the Bad Batch Rex, hop on over and watch that review real quick where we reviewed that figure and talked about all the cool things about it and some of the areas that needed a little bit of improvement. Like I said, go to the forums today, and the comments, let us know what you think about the Rebels toy line and what you would like to see next, and what you might be a little disappointed about with some of the existing figures or lack of existing figures. Stay tuned for more RebelScum.com content. Make sure you're checking the website daily because there's something new every single day on RebelScum.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep in touch with our videos and know when they go up if you turn on notifications. Go to RebelScumShop.com for all kinds of awesome exclusive merch. And that's it for today, guys. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. May the Force be with all of you, you Rebel Scum.